luck, everybody.
Thank you. Is everyone good?
Let me.
Good now? Okay. Deviation growth is terminally unsustainable. The combined effect of ecological disasters, overall defense, cause extinction, and necessity of hand downscaling upper 20 post-growth necessary to prevent climate change. Spoke of evidence favor degrowth to prevent transgressing ecological tipping points, optimism of industrial revolution, uncertainty, problem of cap in context of Earth system crisis, growth and ecological regeneration impacts deforestation, bounty, soil, air, and water pollution, decoupling and growth, imported against analysis of benefit and imports shows no decoupling trend, show no evidence, and worse efficiency with recoupling, most optimistic if failed to rebound effect lead to increased consumption need to occur fast enough. Studies suggest it would be impossible to be 1.5 target in context of growth that are boundaries may be overshot, absolute decoupling is staggering, innovative warming causes extinction, feedback loops, and tipping points over on defense. Chem 22, climate as a potential global catastrophe, temperature rise, exceeds targets, temperature changes, make it impossible to limit hazardous worsen with food, extreme heat, increases with extreme weather, and transitions to all concerns are very high, large irreversible changes that she lost tipping points, feedbacks beyond the climate cascade, conflict, disease, political change, novel average financial crisis, collapse of societies, wars over SRM, inequality, misinfo, weapons, overshoot, shock, solar flares, and volcanoes, follow-on effects, inflame all other threats, but birth through black swans, of course, geoengineering, arms races, Soviet Code 23, impacts on security challenging, product terror, economic damages reach trillions per year, deteriorating security and health, agricultural water, and food security, disease, epidemics, and starvation, and their multiplier risk, climate technologies. The next climate geoengineering options, avoid current action, solar geoengineering by time for mitigation, extinction, environmental effects, and nuclear war bans are impossible, Soviet Code 23, weaponization, and hostile deployment. Route to conflict deployment caused deserts affecting food supply. Governments cannot be trusted to ag, defo, water scarcity, fast moving cheap weapons. There's little governance or control to stop Americans to stop deal with conflict. The UN Convention to weak with no binding power and not forbids modification, but it is unlikely to stop if you're not going to suffer from coming and you have one chance you won't care authority and states are unlikely to worry about repercussions. Indians, Russians, and Chinese with Korea and Russia spraying aerosols and the Arctic U.S. response government captured its capacity with aggravate stress, spillover impacts in the geopolitical hotspot, miscap, inadvertent third world war, India, Pakistan conflict, arms races, and proxy wars. We will see military conflict countries being adversaries independently. Corporate dominance cannibalizes regulation, ensuring catastrophic tax powers out of hand. Albert 20 tech provokes systemic chaos, cause expand green economy, accelerate desecrating of black swan, intensify cyber threats. New road beliefs infrastructure, incipient IoT key of optimist, every device point, iron treat. The overall output from discriminatory orgs or terrorists offer immense power for surveillance and militarization, includes data, bonds, and powerful common nuke weapons, information omniscience become extensive and intensive and relied on to achieve decoupling, generate insecurity and securitization, global north and make military boundaries like the three power, cyber attacks, spheres, catalyze intentional securitization, military of absolute speed and reach through space and AI mobilized without legal pretense to be making military and global security apparatus reinforces the need for break growth, not until abandoning time granted and private sector initiatives, changes needed to enhance democratic control, burst growth based on common wealth, create a global economy that meets human need within planetary boundaries without ecological collapse, civilizational breakdown, or global attack, authoritarianism, chemical attacks, cause extinction, January 18, humanity annihilate many chemical weapons, mankind can be wiped out, new tech may seem improbable in our interconnected world, consequences cascade globally, one incident may be too many, chemical warfare as a threat to existence compared with other means, chemicals are cheap and tech advances make it easier, 3D printing causes global war, K-15, 3D printing has potential to be history repeating itself, the Great War as the war to end all wars and concentrated Europe and the majority of the world in non-conflict ruling alliances created how to get the result in the bloody sword in history, 3D printing bears striking resemblance. The US must take preemptive measures, otherwise IP will find itself in the Great War. Cyber war would go nuclear and cause extinction minus 18. A new nuclear war in which paper error and intentional aggressions was like a catalytic nuclear production, human error, competitive deliberate the attackers insert false warning at a time of tensions with the little communication between rivals and the minutes of the decision to seek cyber attacks. We're greatly increased risk of miscalculation of prescription for global disaster, a drought, zoonotic disease, oral tiny pandemic of huge economic damages, 70% of pathogens. A zoonotic meat consumed per person, double livestock spread pathogens, threatening meat demand, world markets, trade, climate change, deforestation, intensive farming, spread, deadly pandemics, 60% of forest advantage, pathogens mutate quickly, which can be dangerous to the lack of immunity way to tackle pandemics is the cheap environmental sustainability disease cause extinction damage and Mercury's 20 food, loss of tree conservation, sacrificing oceans, decline in body, leading to extinction, geopolitical tensions, are seen conflict in water and energy resources, nuclear arms, crisis and fleet and synergy, exit risks made from conjunction that do not threaten humanity together due to the pandemic, turn attention away from society will be forced to keeping from root gap, into the birth crisis, necessitating the chain of actors distinct crossing points of the world, completely uninhabitable by humans. Inequality is the root cause, makes collapse inevitable and externally risk extinction, chemical wealth and inequality drives social disintegration, so the oligarchy and centralization of power, this causes social distress, can become something to result to economic problems, inequality, undermined solidarity, collapse of treacherous weapons available to break down, racial rival agents to nukes. With nukes, we have reached civilization terminal velocity, any collapse is being existential extinction, global fragmentation, and future crises make economic crash inevitable. Jajima 23 corroborations and retreat world is witnessing not a fragmentation, national security, cancer, job losses, and inequality, protectionism. whenever pandemic approach the world possibility to markets, climate introducing shocks, that is putting sustainability at risk. Fragmentation can reduce GDP by 7% in 2019 countries impose 1,000 restrictions on trade in 2022, 3,000 fragmentation to disrupt markets and create food and energy insecurity. Debt traps cause economic catastrophe. Greenspan debt traps is social catastrophe in the making. Debts are unsustainable. This global crisis threatens the world economy. The situation is deteriorating. During the pandemic, debt blew by 2 trillion, raising interest rates, exacerbating problem, rising rates by coupled increasing depreciation as well as increasing borrowing costs are eating a large piece of national resources. We've had the world access system to deal with that in the context of common and geopolitical distress and its biggest threat to peace and financial stability. China's dad, deflation, slow growth, low confidence, boom, bust cycles, manufacturing and export declines, leaky 11, 12, 10, and 20 add to the deflation policymakers struggle to reignite demand in a property crisis, and after the pandemic it controls China's growth at lowest in decades, low confidence, prices follow boom, bust cycles, should have suffered deflation, real assets, wages, exports, job manufacturing contracted. The United States federal government should adopt the federal jobs guarantee financed by fiscal policies, by degrowth facilitating fiscal policies. A degrowth job guarantee is crucial to shift the social fabric of society, reducing production, consumption, voluntary downturn to viable without changing lives of we have no choice to money for time changing because of prerequisite to its provision of economic security. Changing will reduce productivity and prevent the insecurity of work group, work group help to change workers and changing can relocalize the economy. This means local work can reduce some energy consumption, care workers, the visible changing can increase some care system, children care for elderly and some community sharing offers potential to reduce some production, consumption, demand and changing can catalyze the sharing economy. The guarantee practices ecological practices, HIPCO 21, keep warming. I don't want 500 nation declaration by 10% per year, progressive job guarantee will not end up in a language of the immediate crisis. We need to ramp up renewable energy, we need to restore the ecosystem, expand public transportation, shift the regenerative farming and paying living wage for non-independent and poverty to strengthen the bargaining power of labor and reduce inequality. We find it difficult to close down coal mines because of approaches to why governments bail out oil companies and unless there are mass layoffs. Job guarantee is vital to constrain downsides to deal with transitions. Mazzucato 20, there will be no guarantee against the resumption of financial orthodoxy to establish a job guarantee to ensure that capitals that are wasted or eroded attention into the direction of growth, looking at paying field coordinated projects, incentives to drive private investment, you're a bigger bang, decrease negative multiplier, downturn, increase the positive multiplier for any upturns with transition requiring public sector job program to generate a sustainable tax rate, crowding and actively fully employed, augments the wider community unemployed have less income to drive demand, produce input stability, stabilize, actually reduce fluctuations, public employment, constantly the powerful counter-cyclical stabilizer, aligning a job guarantee with progressive fiscal policy laws and degrowth. Rents 21. The importance of fiscal policy and taxes for promoting environmental architecture in the past reinforces unsustainability. Systemic change must be accompanied by a change in taxes. The taxes tend to reflect all externalities. Weighting is not an option. VAT, income tax, corporate tax can be reshaped to promote transition must do with subsidies. The tax benefits of zero sustainable activities. This would potentially and progressively increase the tax rates. US degrowth goes global. Last 2022, when the US economy sneezes, the rest of the world catches pneumonia. At the best times, any setback in the US have major implications for the rest of the global economy. Leads up from the rest, especially since China is confronted with a host of challenges. Degrowth at home opens possibility for economic diplomacy abroad. Meaning 20, what foreign policy will look like with the socialist White House being Republican America's arsenal has been the Treasury. The US expresses its power by allowing access to the economy loans that produce tax payments, currency inflation. Affect the left admin make aid contingent and redistributive agenda or the environment carbon taxes alone. Encourage partners to put in place a stable policy transformation at home. But the more legitimacy of its economy, the US expresses ability to monitor diplomatic pressure. American and Chinese economies are locked in and embrace only diplomacy with any environmental backlash of no cause. We put about US if it does not use economic power fighting companies shifting world loans from corporations and migrants. Studies confirm latent support for degrowth for resource 32 lessons of degrowth coverage shifted public opinion, especially when initial countries have less place leaders of each country 74% of barriers beyond property well-being, ecological protective terminals after optimum supply transformation.
Cool. Good for cross.
Yeah.
What taxes would the AF be on?
The most likely ones, as outlined by the events evidence, are carbon taxes, exit taxes, income taxes, and corporate taxes. These would all be progressive.
The carbon tax, what's that for?
The carbon tax tries to limit out the negative externality of emissions and pollution from the economy.
And do you think other countries would follow on to the carbon tax, or is it only in the US?
We think that it's possible.
Well, is it likely or not likely?
It depends on the country, and
okay.
our evidence is more about job guarantee, less so carbon taxes.
Okay.
But we can make claims about it.
If we win, the plan cannot solve globally. Can you solve any 1EC impacts? And if so, which ones?
Yes. Inequality is
yep, I
about
get
America.
That. Which other ones?
We can always read Tracy Carr to say that.
Well, as of the 1EC, except inequality, are any just about the US?
I think that all of them are linear impacts. So starting with the United States is a good first step.
What transition guard do you think says other militaries will listen to US degrowth?
The Meany and the Mazzucato evidence.
What was the
and
first
Lockman.
one? Where's the Meany card?
The Meany card is the second and last card.
where does this say anything about other politicians and other militaries transforming their
It's
economy?
definitely about other countries, and the leaders of other countries determine military strategy. It says that the American and Chinese economies are locked in an embrace. It
Well-
says that if the United States does not use economic power, finding companies, shifting more big loans
Okay.
from corporations.
One line from this card is the American and Chinese economies are locked in an embrace. Is this only through the economy or non-economic aspects?
The argument that media is making is that if America's economy slows down, that forces China's economy to slow down
And
as well.
is the media evidence describing economic embrace in terms of trade or other economic ties?
The media evidence is describing things like trade and interdependence.
Okay. Does the app take a stance on what you would do to that economic embrace?
The plan, by slowing down growth, forces China's economy to slow as well. Because if there's a decline in
So,
trade, demand for
You
China's
would
goods,
ruin
it
that
slows
economic embrace? Or you would at least limit it out?
No, we don't limit that embrace. We use that embrace to spur follow-on from China.
Okay. Would the app reduce trade with China?
The app would reduce trade of goods that are environmentally and socially detrimental.
Okay. The chemical attack scenario, I'm confused about why these are unique to World of Growth. What's that scenario?
The internal link to the chemical weapons attack is the Albert card. It says that due to corporate dominance, that causes all of these technologies to accelerate.
One is percent. It's 5 off. Transition then degrowth. Is everybody good? Cool. Invocation of death impacts is necrophilia and obsession with body content ends in extinction. Vote next to reject and move on to B1. Necrophilia is an obsession to all this passion, destroying exclusive attention, mechanical violence, connected attraction, life, enjoy, death, drive, and left from necrophilia, pathological, kinetic, causes of world or fear of destruction, biophilia, love of life, which further growth, pervert, deconstruct, love by living, mold, love by bureaucratic, administrating people, as things, people, life, soul as having is an exchange in relationship to the world is one of position, necrophilia, life, and follows, reward, dark, more fascinating, like, so we can turn of all life and things, everything is that governed like a robot. Next off. Fiscal redistribution requires transfers funded by income taxes, causes 17. House redistribution divided covering households income inequality before and after taxes and transfer taxes covered only income taxes, no indirect taxes, violation of hand raises, revenue from non-income tax, vote neg, the interpret explodes the topic to include revenue from any source of taxation. Next off. Recent economic summit signaled a turning point in U.S.-China relations and is fueling cooperation over climate security and AI. Also, China says no to the plan basis committed to a market-oriented economy. Ukraine told us for. November summit signaled a positive turning point in relation focused on economic cooperation. Xi Jinping commanded control from China vision environment, highlighting China's commitment to an open economy and expanded market access. China itself a market-oriented economy will not change, but U.S. supposed to cooperate global challenges, especially climate change, to formal dialogue and AI more prudence for the relationship to economic fix on which positive turning point relation goes into formal communication with security climate and highly encouraging. Xi has assured the U.S. business China is open to them. China's commitment to better relations is predicated on the expectation of better economic ties that prevents a U.S.-China conflict. Cost Holocaust 22. High-level context is in common meeting both of us want to common early China's hoping improve and economic ties US wants to prevent global turbulence interesting China trader ICS Russia. There was no incident in the conflict with China and US. China have ended the year focusing mostly on its economy. Cooperation with China built on healthy economic relationships is a precondition to solving global problems including climate, biodiversity, money laundering, and financing of terrorism. Yellen 1214. The U.S. will pursue healthy economic relations with China will seek to cover global challenges to deploy economic tools by deepening the ties of nurturing relations, addressing urgent challenges tools to launch the company obligations drive collective action to the world to pursue healthy economic relations with intergovernmental to protect security using economic tools and to make communication rules and prevent misunderstanding leading to escalation of open collaboration on the financing of terrorism. We will produce coordination of artificial death and climate collaboration with the U.S. and China time the imminent challenges the world faces. The U.S.-China economic relations solve great power war. Gesture 16. Cross-border exchange prevents harmful barriers that breaks the balance global supply chain because environment governments preserve open economy products is very area of alienating capital. The center of regulations temporary to good power conflict otherwise be in full blown interdependence with the likelihood of great power war. Next off. The United States federal government should continue investing in research, development, and mass execution of direct air capture and carbon capture technology, implement border distant carbon tax, guaranteed increased funding for global health security, and increase research and development and investment in global health security, bank geoengineering, and induce other countries to do the same, proposed to the United Nations Security Council International Framework for Geoengineering. Operations established by experts in the least includes a consistent mechanism of determining deployment, established covert policy for not escalating response to cyber attacks, substantially invest in the security of digital systems, implementing universal basic income and ban 3D printing, CCS solves Uber 2 Carbon capture needle also opportunities emitted so much in this top facility to deal with the massive DAC have to pull out the countries now left needs to move beyond and implement them with carbon. Dividend gets a model who's 221. The most important policies of all companies are carbon tax without robotics and possible use changes might be ruling on the most of all carbon price that changing economic reform human depends upon human saving human civilization from climate change, market card at climate change, sustained investment R&D prevents global outbreaks, Rebuttal 17. U.S. leadership critical to market stop responsibility to oversee the lifestyle of African global Congress parties invest in global health security building running countries to outbreaks more likely more sustained dead most of the culture responding to outbreak poverty utilization of R&D design external health tech only course with the U.S. as well prepared last night. Solskjaer 23. The recommendation of measures necessary to aerosol movements of aerosol injection consider water framework for governance is going. Agent scientists government researching aerosol injection its controversial experts and leaders should consider establishing regulatory framework. Next off. The 50 states and relevant international actors, including national government associations, independent corporations, under federal programs, USFG, adopted federal job security finance by fiscal policy designed to facilitate the ego that competes and solves movement 21. The states and the federal rules sovereign rebels, federal Peninsula, and power to pursue 59% federal ITC, 15 company states are 16 intentional law exploiting exploiting tourism, what is the policy states and future company program starts with this. How to qualify federal government laws and states for federal association countries and policy for government power government has authority has agreed to comply, reasserting state sovereignty, counterbalances government flows from federal and coached by clause 19. We also face economic insecurity, challenges from proliferation, current ISIS, terrorism, global warming, with symptoms of good across problem that risk play with the next years as the field of governance have transferred from the system knowledge of the federal so much need for targets logging news and impossible it's a highly imbalanced systems less rigid systemic flows fixed apart from everyone and solutions societal time to be just the cause returning power back to society which is functional only get worse. Transition fails one military crackdown Hanzo 21. Revolution required control of institutions have to take control of the military movement would not be an anti-revolution, counter-revolution by former early 20th Silicon Valley people who voted for Trump 2 China 1 model they've tried already Volatile 20. Now with people like to degrowth seminar presented degrowth left to Lisbon South were not a China 1 northern for degrowth of capitalism like to produce rule giving authority the worst famine of future a man of abrupted 2 fragment has been disaster taxes fuel capital by nuclear solvency wing 95. Actually skip this one. Degrowth. No warming wait 21. Plausible versus saturated duplicity of powerful devices and exaggerate forecast for worst scenarios like the standard similarly catastrophic forecast for decades until it comes out. Good times to average catastrophic forecast to generate clear expectation on the national climate where you will need 2 decades will make problem decoupling from both sector directions and innovation control already underrated value. Investments anticipate them no tech impact is a long listen will be regain new answers when they actually explain how any of the warrants in the card escalates so no what the worst part 21. Premise that true journey of weaponized will false precision defining attribute of weapon will hallmark true journey how we can be in precision as I disperse aerosols and generally cannot be called between the circle rule whether control sort of the general solid possible in physical basis believing that impossible return level of the nation of achieving deployed precision as soon as the Philippines and produce a strong local our best physical concept refusing easy counter to have to be for military value no chemicals divorce 20. Modern systems should use this chemical fire is superintendent Japanese economic ceremony code process incident in West Country attackers after the boyfriend face for decent shop love to mass consequence 270 market card at 270 no 3D printing Dracona 19. Additive manufacturing technology and additive transparency album make people get time cost and material as well as complementary technology track in the long term it's not credible to 17. Actually skip this. No cyber impact on again 1232. Negligible of cyber you can currently impact system also already found limit of cyber opportunity cause escalation heights and incidents occur none. Half an trigger escalation no major cyber attacks and responsibility use for DuPont action level instructions cyber attacks and really continue the confidential reducing fire breaking cyber and non-military operations no disease or 20. Deeper biological theories of pathogen distinction these include anti-correlation infecting lethality humidity the cone trying to become less violent is optimal for civilization for 50% is not for precipitate collapse something like it may through the future. If a team is in global science safe also be right above so we're winning we see impact of the long-term communities lasted no inequality impact on guard 18. Countries and inequality which report can expose violent public constant inequality between groups of religion and individual identity linked to our ongoing inequality not reported concept common activity of violence. Countries between groups and organizations within the state inequality is not strong enough underlying factors. Sustainability. 1. No fragmentation. Buck 615. Exports of propulsive future with GD for GS and growing fiber horizon inputs and long term needs a new law for globalization global crew to have stabilized culture modernization with some exposed connectors that has been debt is not a problem object. 21. National debt topic only starts a bonus state factor unlike you don't have to pay on American credit that's pretty economic you couldn't government have unlike government tends to be spender AI in innovations happening now create 15. Generative AI, local together, excellent supervision, low status, low AI, low people, hardcore anything, predictability, automation, will have them use, possessing capabilities, development of local accessibility, and increases investment. China's sustainable hunt with theme. China shows 5.2% growth in 1 trillion multiplying investment guarantees are real saving. China's growth will be sustainable to keep growth modern rules like to boost the real economy, China marketing, e-commerce, and city clusters, new technology boosting economic Rebuttal innovation, leading for solar, like cars, battery, 5G, AI, and space BRICS as well as China. Strengthens global economy, cooperation, no crisis now. Again, 24. 25th year of remarkable year, company enjoying self-funding and nearly impossible economy over Ukraine, all little and could use the company still faces risks about optimistic about the economy in 2024. Oh, okay.
Right. Were there any reasons to reject the team other than T?
No.
Okay. And you did read federalism, right?
Yep.
Okay. The Yellen card. So she's just like summarizing Biden's strategy towards the United States. How is this card predictive at all about what relations with China can solve?
Well, the U.S. is like half of the relationship, says the U.S. is committed to increased economic growth and economic trade with China, and says that China
Yeah,
is
like
also
Biden,
accepting.
the U.S., they all want these things. What part of Yellen says that China reciprocates?
Well, the Crane card indicates that it's a positive turning point for relationships because China is reciprocating. Yellen is more about the things that relationship
Okay.
solve.
Parts of the Yellen card seem very affirmative. It says, quote, American firms have not been able to compete in China. The PRC deploys unfair economic practices, non-market tools, barriers to access, coercive actions against American companies. Seems like Yellen is complaining about China's posture now. How is this card?
I think
how
that's
does
a
this
side note. The
prove
Crane
that
card
progress
is
is
from
being made?
December, and it says that despite everything that you just mentioned, economic relationships
Yeah,
are still.
Yellen is written after that.
You read a part of like the middle of it. It's like a counter argument. Then right after it concludes heavily negative.
It's not. It says that if China were to change these things.
And then read the lines right after that are highlighted.
Okay.
Which are the bottom part of the article.
The Dresner card, it's written in 2016. It's about like when Dresner was writing this, they were writing about China's recent rise to great power status over the past 2 decades, from 2016. And it says that at that moment there was an impetus for conflict. Why does it still apply now?
Well, it makes a larger claim about interdependence being the thing that checks war between the two countries.
Why did COVID, Ukraine, these things not flip it?
Ukraine did not fracture trade between the U.S. and China.
Trade war?
Neither trade war was not a complete decoupling. It was just some tariffs that did not completely stop trade.
So
Second is
the
that this side is about more
the
than just
threshold
trade.
to trigger the link is absolute decoupling.
No, not just absolute decoupling. That was what I was about to say. The decide is not necessarily about just trade. It's about larger U.S.-China relationships. Real advanced arguments in the bloc and in one and
Is
two.
China
You
revisionist,
force China to do
defensive
something they
realist?
don't want to do in degrowth.
Is China
which makes
defensive,
Xi very
realist,
angry.
or revisionist?
We have not taken a stance on that
Okay.
in the 1 and C. As of the decide, it is not relevant.
For the counterplan, I presume you can take sets of claims?
Yep.
Alright. Can you read 2 and C counterplans?
If you read add-ons.
Okay.
Actually, we can just read through.
Can I get that? So the only, the cooperation decide is only in that benefit to the advantage counterplan?
Yeah.
Alright.
Uncrop is internal, and
Okay.
obviously the K and T.
Also, so the Yemen card says that they want to cooperate on these challenges. What evidence says it solves these challenges?
Yellen goes on to say it would solve those challenges.
Wait, Kevin, to clarify, we did read on clock. I don't know if there was a confusion.
Yeah, I said this.
You are not taking a break, is that correct?
Yeah, the 2C is set.
Okay. I don't know where. Just want to make sure there's no confusion.
Was your fight always just? Is it tomorrow?
Sorry,
No
Peninsula.
worries.
That's our bad.
I just like left,
So
like
funny.
literally right now. I mean, I was supposed to go, but we had a guy in the extent round robin, so I just stayed.
Wait, there's an extent tournament here?
Yeah, there's a round robin here.
Oh, it's Jack.
Wow. Extent is pretty cool.
There's like a whole banquet ceremony for them.
Like the green hill round robin?
Yeah, except like there are 16 of them, and then there are like 4 rooms and 4 speakers. And they have like 10 rounds.
Wait, in extent you don't debate people, right? You just
No, they give speeches, but there's like concepts involved.
okay. Is everyone good from order?
Yes.
Degrowth, transition, T, the advantage counterplan, the uncooperative federalism counterplan, the critique, the dissent. Is everyone good? Okay.
Yes, climate impact evidence is not from climate scientists. Consensus agrees feedback loops, tipping points make life on Earth impossible. They've also conceded climate change causes war, which trade turns their offense. They say laundry list, but we read impacts on attack. They say geoengineering defense. Their evidence does not answer warrants like accidents, miscalculations, and misunderstandings that cause political strife between countries, which goes nuclear. They say chemical defense. Our evidence is fantastic at explaining why chemical weapons are uniquely likely now and how they can cause extinction. They say 3D printing defense, but their evidence it just says that they cannot be WMPs. But our argument is that 3D printed guns and bazookas and drones will cause political instability that goes nuclear. They say cyber defense, but their evidence is about empirics, which does not assume that future cyber attacks will infiltrate nuclear systems, which causes first strike and lash out. And they say disease defense, but it does not assume zoonotic diseases, which ensure deadly pandemics that overcome the virulence, the lethality trade-off that their evidence speaks about. They say inequality defense, but our evidence is specific to the United States and says that a civilizational collapse caused by rising inequality will cause lash out, diversion, war, and populism. They say the fragmentation, no fragmentation, but our evidence says that their evidence is only about US deglobalization. Our evidence is that globally trade barriers have jumped up 1,000, 3,000. They say that defense, but our evidence says that 20 plus countries have defaulted on their debts, and developing nations are running out of money now, which makes globalization impossible. China is unsustainable. 5.2% growth is too slow. The evidence does not answer warrants like aging and low employment rates, which cause China to collapse. Transition. No military backlash. The evidence is about revolution on a job guarantee which maintains high quality life. We also fiat the military. They say China will follow on, but the media evidence says that China will be forced to follow on because they're intertwined with US economics. T. One counterintuitive fiscal redistribution is the process of moving resources from one group to another via tax and transfers to another. To achieve redistribution, the government collects taxes and then makes expenditures and transfers to up-down. Income taxes are indefensible versus taxes pick and states content 3 pick solve. Their offense 4 predictability. They have a slideshow for a data set, not a definition. 5 functional limits case states economy. And politics solve 6 reasonability. Good is good enough. The advantage compound. 1. Can't solve internationally. 0. Solvency. 2. Do the planned combination of the planks. 3. No solvency advocates justify new answers. 4. The CCS plank fails with impact turn it because our geoengineering card says that it causes war and is ineffective. The disease plank fails because it does not assume zoonotic diseases, which our evidence says that technology cannot overcome since they've never been seen before. The geoengineering plank banning geoengineering fails because our evidence says that other countries have a strong motivation to do so because of climate change and there's political and economic interest to do so. And inducements also fail because they've empirically failed. They say cyber defense, but other countries will go to nuclear war even if the US bans retaliation. They say UBI can't solve poverty and can't solve things like environment. JG's key environment, disease, food, infrastructure, stability, sports, money, work. Has been essential healthcare, food, home chances, social capitalism, ability to organize production, is on hair, direct consumer, nothing. Society does not produce the good, microcredit goods. Infrastructure cascade extinction turns offense penalty 15 risks. threatening extinction, parts being vulnerable and connected to reinforcing risk that spread and spill over and critical infrastructure failure, cause state infrastructure damage, may trigger social collapse, fire, proportion, initial disruption, and cause great death. Effective healthcare stops bioterror extinction, military health security, reduce bioterrorism, biowar, or pandemics, prevent pandemics, migration, will be effective regardless of whether outbreak originates naturally or deliberately, detect and characterize health fast, and track health, strengthening healthcare, would mitigate all types of accident risk to include bioterror, reducing abstract risk at 1 million times more effective. 3D printing plane fails because other countries will produce those weapons, and also banning in the US fails because they'll hide under the radar. It also leads to the net benefit because they would all destroy the economy and trade. State bargaining kind of plan. 1. Comprehensive self-yapic claim result in a voting issue to move when you see impossible to prepare for. 2. Say no, we're just way too much. Biden's million miles away from the African socialism. Biden is not going to lead us into a more egalitarian future. Yes, and 3. Do the plan and states just cease cooperation. 4. Do the plan and states just cease cooperation to defend its fiscal policies. 5. Campaigns compete textually and functionally, solves block recycling, preserves Afghan. 6. Do campaign. 7. Do both. 8. Uniform 50 say fiat is bad, not real world, incentivizes block recycling and destroys Afghanistan. Non-uniform solves. 9. No spillover. 1. More instances of state resistance is insufficient. 10. Out solves the net benefit and because degrowth is more effective. 11. Impact on local local power strengthens neoliberalism. 114. Federalism motivates local power domestic captured by movement signature transform. Capitalist state obscures accountability, provides least powerful means of dominating minorities, questioning labor and restricting public institutions, social goods, competitive federalism, compel resisting labor agitation and fear, capital federalism, restricting civil rights, market required civil rights. 12. Reject longitudinous impacts, no explanation how they solve those impacts or how to get to extinction. 13. Condos voter A. Fairness out to deters proliferation of overpowered content, speak quality debates, discourages offensive drugs testing, causes they bring around states themselves. Okay. 1. Framework. Whether you have any links to the plan, anything else is non-resolutional, which nukes fairness and clash. 2. Do both. Degrow and reject death attacks. 3. Dating. Perfcon is a reason to reject a team, its hypocrisy and magnifies violence. 4. Lane turn. The app also affirms life. 5. All fails. Death threats are inevitable. 6. The debate enables people to manage anxiety about death. The 2020 study addressed the death education high school, showing students highlighted no affects students recognize relevance and valuable open debate. It is possible to manage anxiety by directing emotions to existential contact. Pixar voting issue moved to 1EC and term revolutionary potential. This app. 1. Relations are a half a century low now. Top use of post states of Summitburg. 1215 on free optimistic relationships. He's beginning with stress relations lowest point in half century. Biden called his counterpart dictator angry by Beijing. Burns blasted Beijing for harassment of vessels. 2. No link in turn. F. Improves relations because it's better for the country that's meaning. 3. The link is backwards. China wants to decouple now. That's has. 4. Yellen is idealistic, not predictive, just a wish of her lists. 5. She also says that there are deep adversarial economic disputes between the US and China now. We read yellow. American firms have not been able to compete in China. It appears it was unfair. Economic practices not market towards various access coercive access because American companies are reconsidering investment and resource commitments with companies indicating plans to move out of China. App solves the larger list impacts. Protectionism high now. That's Georgieva and Bloomberg 1.7. China. The economic solution is risks and a new wave of trade tensions. China's putting on to manufacture fueling imbalances between China and the world. Yes, have several warnings about capacity. Yes, to deny China's technology presidential cease protectionist policy that but further attacking and increase protectionism at China. China wants to make everything country politicians. China shock blame for rising population slowing growth. China market is less open sectors off limits to investors implementing by Chinese. Continued economic restraint emboldens US frontal wars and interventions guaranteeing post-equal war. Also into a post-equal war would be catastrophic. When the US be strong, policy is president only every country living after World War II. The US considers itself strong. To carry Korea, isolate China to Vietnam, the US turned to less aggressive policy symbolized by Nixon's visit. The time with the US started having recovered the US returned to aggressive policy in Reagan 2007 that blow to the economy as a result. US began to emphasize cooperation as the US Republic became aggressive. The community trade war, the road from Japanese militarism and German fascism, World War today, if the US suffers defeats or not, we would front war. US China wars and think we are after the competition wars are unlikely, but the losing war. One thing is the China cases no nuclear war, even in the Ukraine is an understanding nukes cannot be used with countries class society board. Competition is a resolution to the black channels growth. Bank wars, militarism is a root cause of war. 116 with Canada increase military spending. This war just make it for new continuing military engagements in Australian nations. If you engage in more conflict, expansion builds confidence and feel invincible. Expansion actually increases trade cheap war that ignites nuclear escalation and slew hotspots. Happen to rivalry, which intensify for supremacy. Independence, not in a competitive relationship. Nukes are author expression of enable Japan, Tokyo, and Taiwan can go nuclear overnight, even with Biden's no security. Asia on a burning competition with resources, races, and wars and tensions are higher. Asia, as CSI about trade tensions between Japan and Kyoto, China, US, Russia, and the EU have amplified competition in trade markets. Can undermine incentives to co-op lesser powers, caught between dependence of US and Chinese in the rush to attract investment. In the rush to attract investment. You good? Yeah.
Use this for
Condo, PICS, EarthCon, counter plans that solve
resolve the act by claiming to result in it, and uniform 50 state the act.
Okay. That's all good. Let's talk about this 3D printing causes instability. You list like weapons that exist now, guns, bazookas. How does this uniquely escalate?
The argument that our evidence makes is that usually all of these things are regulated by the government. There's databases that track them, and it's difficult to create these things absent 3D printing. But 3D printing has allowed for the rise of things like drones, self-produced drones, and bazookas and guns.
Okay, how did
This will allow countries. This will allow groups to like revolt against countries in Africa and Europe, and perhaps even in Mexico and the United States.
Okay, so how does this escalate to nuclear war?
Well, the argument that our evidence makes is that it could functionally trigger World War III because there could be so much instability as a result of these 3D printed weapons. It could allow white supremacists to rise up against the government, and all of these things would cause escalation.
Why does the government use nukes? Because white supremacists are using 3D. So white supremacists have like 3D printed guns, and the American government decides to nuke.
The argument is not that the U.S. nukes them, but that it would create so much political, economic, and other forms of turmoil within the United States that there's drawing adversaries become more emboldened and aggressive.
It's like a white supremacist using a gun draws in adversaries. That's fine. Let's talk about this Hamlin infrastructure add-on. Do you need to solve infrastructure globally or only in the U.S.?
Only in the U.S.
Okay. How does the app solve infrastructure?
The job guarantee. The Sprouse evidence says it would manage all of those things more effectively, and the government, if it is more oriented towards social and ecological good, would invest a lot more in infrastructure and invest a lot more in transportation and things like that.
Okay, same question about biocare. Do you need to solve globally or only in the U.S.?
I mean, I think that one is more linear. Like, the U.S. probably has a lot of resources and individual capabilities and DIY labs that can produce bio threats, but other countries could too. We think that the more we solve, the better.
Okay, and then clarifying you didn't read food or shock control.
That is correct.
Okay, cool. Now, let's go to the China relations side. Just clarification again, you didn't read Mueller, right?
What?
Did you read Mueller?
No.
No, okay. And then, okay, that's cool. Let's go to the link is backwards. It says, the part you highlighted says China wants domestic demand-led growth. What part of this is backwards?
It says, quote, domestic. It's all about...
Because your country can have like domestic firms but still export to other countries.
No, it's talking about why they want to focus on demand within their own country. They want to ensure that there's high consumer spending, that there's trade within the country, not abroad.
You highlighted the words domestic-led growth. Where did you get those words?
time the orders the advantage counterplan. Unflop. The depth K.
The what?
Depth K. Then transition. And then degrowth.
Advantage counterplan, uncooperative federalism, death day, transition, growth.
Yeah.
Sick. Good.
I'm good to go.
Peninsula.
Yeah.
The capital source gains that do in the depths of which is essential and Joshua Pacific playing simply when the firm solves because of conditionality as we saw will be they'll be throughout the flow. They say the CCS equals war, no, we have defense on case like this, no Peninsula wants to go for warming, but they conceded the carbon tax plank and they want to see it solves like it's modeled, they said they want to see cross too. So who's who says incentivize the corporations to slash emissions and gets modeled because other countries want to do it because of the border just a part of the carbon tax now disease, we solve it, no evidence that zoonotics are different, but renewed funding solves the zoonotics part and innovation solves Fire 18. The US has been a leader global security CDC books on containable evidence with arrested documents or borders. America cannot put a back additional systems are far more than humanitarian. We solve geoengineering, create a council of geoengineering solves this going to interest some scientists have governance rather than hostility, which is ER evidence. They say banning solves, banning does not solve answer. We're not going for the ban plank, but they consider the other plank right afterwards solves, which creates a global council over geoengineering. They say cyber about other countries. This also in the US efficiently will have transition defense and defense on case as well. They say the UBI can solve other stuff. This is relevant. UBI solves inequality. Kevin sees this and proceeds to say this is not solved for other what is the impacts which we're not going for. UBI solves inequality of Washington 20. UBI is nearly without alternatives over inequality of system start a conflict. PL for social stability with tremendous making power progress UBI and the country's virtual quest of investment inequalities US. It's already making plans last making annual payments and expanded to make it work now. They say the job guarantees get infrastructure, new plank, the United States government should expand direct job creation for infrastructure and bioterrorism. Now I'll answer the bioterror impact because infrastructure is so stupid. We've had infrastructure collapse in the past and the grid can just rebalance and the other countries are not dependent on it for the US. Now nothing has changed, obstacles are insurmountable, so no bioterror impact. Lenso 17, terrorists, my creative pathway is going to be critical rapid, not about to limited terrorists. I tend to be conservative, there is no weapons. The approach of weapons to develop and deploy research have you ever seen contemplated by ages, so number of instances in historical aperture by ages different use 10 years are likely to persist. Now they say 3D printing, banning US 3D printing solves, especially with the transition debate linked to that benefit is wrong. None of the planks must degrowth, which is the link debate, which would be the one in our uncoop kicking out going forward. Conditionality is good. One neck class call chop is much of this one. And they've been about to receive bias to innovation, conduct, purchase team, secret risk, instead of really bad canvas around 3 best false option means consider all opportunity cost fortification theory prove that bad apps, bad and method. As long as the tornadoes can counter condition with the amount of conduct we read in this debate, defense one skew inevitable from team. This has 2 concession solve contradictions, 3 diminishing returns, cost applications apply the more offer conceive split up with team. This 1 least the plank space his office after bigger perm 2 applies to see there's everything is over before the truancy decade. Invoking death impacts the flexibility of sexual body counts and the pathological feeling that is inherent to life, increasingly the reward of controllable fascination with death turns people into objects, renders instruments to destruction fascinating. Now, counter the Tuesday one is primary counter definition discourse analysis is the role of the judge, who is such an offense of representations, have their advantages, not be access, because we don't have the means to enact the plan, but we do have the ability to break up fixations. 3 impacts. 1 is linguistic balance, reduce the 8-minute absence to a 4-minute sentence. 4 second sentence that would change you to not defend language choices, justifies racist language balance to be a remedy for bad rhetoric. 2 subtraction, would be on doctrines as to embrace the sovereign view of power, the basic will control while mastering obstacles through technology that chooses to be aggressive intellects. Macro 96. Students in argumentation, Islamic distraction, utterance, principle, argumentation, difficulty, application, critique that requires care of different programs, the students of the line is to debaters survive of dialogical counterfail to development of policy viewpoints, fair practice, and basic will control mastery, the power and the system. Situated in this orientation, false aggressive, intellect, aggressive was first. 3 subjectivity comes first. We law 14. Although human lives back in the development of war, but solely through the mediation of his experience of behaviors develop social principles to do chemical war, the process and instituting the human psychological limits of self and decodes the nervous system. 5. The community's fascination with greatest practical framing reifies the death culture, turns the case, lost to endless violence. For Jordan 93.
The base we need that culture, some more detached message views, which is for the game, US investment, we tell about salvation, national discussions with the detached viewpoint, when which may be appropriate language and powerful use as material consequences to put it forward, exhibit this was survey, language have real implications for how we act and superative. We quickly examine, we may not be able to change the world, we can change our community. Fairness, one, not impact a pathological, but is good. It's devoid of meaning, be true fairness is impossible because technical resources fairness tools after assault, they chose to read death impacts. Thus, they should be sufficiently ready to debate the death K. 3 Negron ways, the first speech, which was on conditionality. Clash 1, no predictability to link A, fios, non resolution will be the resolution puts the limit on the act of the negative framework is arbitrary justifies no clause system framework, no cherry picking offense app teams would select the small set representations. Now they say the permutation we have not read an alternative, so it's not relevant, but it's solution to the saver death impacts. They say Perpcon is good, 1 negation theory, thus on condo 2 ideological flexibility key to British community shows of 3 2 in our tracks 4 condo justifies it by fair rebuke crossfly link 6 says the sequencing issue the K comes before all of the policy off K7. The link is to the introduction of death impacts, and that's the choice of avoidance. A reject the argument, not the team. They say picks bad. That's literally all contemplates and no answer above. We're not to pick anyway. Crossfly stuff above. Framework for why we need the death K and also on conditionality for our picks are good anyway. Now they say death ropes are good. Crossfly stuff on the framework page proves it's not. Now transition. Afghan also deliver globally that they cannot allow the US military to do it, but other militaries will just crack on the alternative, which is one enhancing evidence that says that militaries, and at least specifically, are ideologically opposed to degrowth because they want to have their capitalist systems in place so they can enjoy their quality of life. 1 2 is trying to build models marked with evidence that they tried degrowth in the past, yet do not, and apparently learn from it, which means they go back to the app. Now taxes fuel capital flight, nuking Psalm C, weighing 95, and pollution tax is levied. It decreases the rates of return inputs to the capitalistically, pollution tax also environmental capital flight. Higher tax accountability, allocate world capital, involve countries in cooperating non-institution, with jurisdiction to enforce global policy in no carbon country, benefit emission reductions of carbon countries at the deviation is possible to be country delivery, allow tax and foreign investment as well for each country was completely internalized global externalities. Now degrowth advantage. Drop carbon tax link means the warming stuff is not as relevant, but no warming impact is bias. Models with exaggerate scenarios get more clicks, fees, adaptation solves. It's a quo direction setting, which is the one to see weighed evidence. Now they say geoengineering, no arms race. One is cooperation, use in China have shared interest for global governance of geoengineering. They are actively subsidizing research, use in Paris, use of Soviet guardrails and nuclear tests and delivery during the Cold War. Use in China want to put a rules-based architecture now. That's the one to see card. No tech races. Wit 16. I love the provide national rights of water and mobilization facilities modification be non-related to the ENMOD, but it also use of modification these treaty ban custody as a weapon. They say accidents and miscalculation and above use of treaties to prevent that happening in the first place. Now, no chemical tax. Kevin is so light on all of these issues. We should not let the 1 year blow up all of this shit. Now they say weapons make uniquely likely. Answer if I want to see evidence. 1, effectiveness. 5 liters of sarin only killed 12 people. Countries resort to high explosives. 2, pedestrian is cheap. Britain equipped its entire population with gas masks during the World Wars. 3, cost chemicals have short shelf lives. It costs too much to be efficient. 4 is counterproductive. Recipe for the attack becomes instruction. 4, in army, they say 3D printing. The guns and bazookas obviously do not cause extinction if it's about deadly proliferation. Answer by 1 is the evidence proves that cannot be printed anyway. It's definitely not credible anyway. Kelly 17 possibilities. Say or not say accuracy 3D printing prolific. Idea of 3D printing complete weapon is not credible anyway. Possibility of producing components is possible at best. Non-critical components are not able to detect the bypass noble export controls. They say no. They say cyber war. There's no cyber attacks that cause war. Periods of simulations through neither side escalates vertically. Diplomacy checks escalation with London. Attribution restraint capabilities check. Mark that as an analytic. That's a Lewis evidence. My periods can be used to give predictions about the future. Now 3D printing does not cause war. It actually does above. Now the disease stuff, no distinction. There are only 2 conditions, unknown pathogens and ones that are possible to attack. The app results neither no amount of 1 year spent can overcome this scientific reality. Before or the PhD using empirical quantitative evidence, no inequality impact, civil collapse, Nygaard evidence, and analyzes empirical studies of countries with inequality, say none of them cause war. Now sustainability, the fact that this Devin was super light on this, and no new 1 year blow up, no fragmentation, globalization is increasing exports and trade patterns grow. That's Bachman evidence. He just asserts about the US when it's clearly not. Now the debt issue, 21st centuries is relevant evidence. That's a top economist who say debt, if anything, creates new activity. The impact is so long term anyway. That's a Jacobson evidence. China's growth is sustainable. 1, despite real estate debt, and 1, 2 is the issues. New Chinese innovations and next gen technologies get them out of trouble. 2, China's narrowing the gap with patents and stats shows Asia's innovation hub. Only our evidence is predicted.
Are you good for process?
Yep.
Okay. Critique. How does voting negative make it less likely that we read the case? Or
We think it can serve as a deterrent effect, but if anything, it's about this round. You can just treat it as a procedural. Your reading of death impacts is a reason why they should vote negative.
So the deterrent effect component, other teams have lost to the death K. We've lost to the death K before. We still read
Well,
death.
Our
impacts.
framework model describes a model of debate where if people vote for the decade, that ballot will shape research practices. Over time, teams know they don't want to lose, so
Right.
they would probably switch to soft left apps or apps that don't read death impacts anymore. Because if it, like our model of debate where teams vote for the death case or judges
Yeah, I
vote for
want like, what is the alternative to all of this? What do we talk about
It's-
instead of death?
you can just read a soft left app. You could have just
Soft
read
apps are
inequality.
also about people dying and suffering. and
No,
stuff like
they're
that.
not. You can read stuff about racism.
Like
I don't think it's all-
office
yeah.
about like
Wait, okay. What about representations of death outside of debate?
Well, we've made arguments specifically to debate. The Bajork evidence describes debate's fascination with death culture.
But your other
And there
parts are
might be
not about
also like outside of debate, people don't constantly ramble about death, which is why this case is unique. Only in debate, people get happy when, like, for example, last year a Japanese president died, and people were like, "Woo, new uniqueness, new scenarios." And only in debate that type of stuff happens, which is what the Bajork evidence describes. Obviously, like outside of this activity, like people don't ramble or like scream about death nearly as much.
But I don't think that's the case. We talk about the Ukraine war every day, and it's in the
You
news.
just like at dinner table, my parents and I don't talk
well,
about
if you
the
read the news every day, it's always talking about.
it's different.
It's like,
Our cards describe the fascination with death. Outside of it, like sure at dinner you might talk about the Ukraine war like every once in a while, but that's way different from what our evidence describes, where teams just want to read death impacts purely because it is a death impact.
the advantage counter plan, the 3D printing bank, how does it solve other countries?
The 2NC agreed it solves in the US, so if you go for US only, then it solves like that portion.
The new counter plan, the new plank, there have been job creation programs for infrastructure before, but those have been unsuccessful, which evidence says that the counter plan.
I disagree. That's also the app's internal link. The job guarantee itself leads to jobs in these infrastructure and bioterror areas. Like we just short circuit the JG and do direct job creation for those areas. That equally applies to you if it applies to us.
Where does the carbon tax evidence say that it's modeled by other countries?
One conceded and then two we see. Two, it specifically says the border adjustment part of it means that other countries, when they trade to the US, they will get taxed on exports, so it's strategic for them to collect their own revenue, so they have a financial incentive to model it.
it was sent during cross. It's just the relations. Yeah.
I'm good.
That's the
Okay.
U.S.-China economic relations prevent nuclear escalation in places like Taiwan, Russia, and the SES to facilitate global cooperation on issues like climate and terrorism, which the dissent solves the case, but the inverse cannot be true. The link alone turns solvency. One Ukraine includes a quote from Xi himself saying China's market-oriented economy quote, will not change. Meaning they say no to the plan itself. None of their degrowth specific impacts to see one. They say relations are low. The card is one diplomat's opinions, which is not good compared to our cards, which is a survey of broader relationships between the U.S. and China. But relationships are stabilizing now. They won't spiral out of control as long as interdependence endures. November 12 to 13. Stability in U.S.-China relations. U.S. and China countries prefer stability, while the U.S. and China different views are carefully avoided actions by expand the fighting follow recent trial by China's economic policy like U.S.-China to spiraling by enduring independence. 2AC2, the ringers is wrong. The AF does not help them. Want to see evidence specifically China wants to grow at all costs. So the AF actually hurts them, which is another link since they force China into doing something they hate, i.e. degrowing. China is fixated on economic growth, even in its environmental solutions prioritize growth. Chang 22. Economic growth among the top parties heavily emphasized direction towards sustainable economic growth. Interior Department Chinese bureaucracy Xi's emphasis on growth. Pursuit of growth is equally important among the people. China's fixation on growth often starts from the Chinese society. China's desperate need for growth normally have a monthly income more than $150. The goal is central goal of CCP show Chinese people during the political warfare, but economic opportunity may even second goal bringing source of GDP, CCP, and GDP, and investment performance reviews without much steady state economics trade. would have to decline. Their thermodynamics evidence literally says humanity needs to produce less, which means there's less stuff to trade, and they get rid of the profit motive, which means nobody's incentivized to trade anyway. 2EC3, they say, we want you to grow, it's wrong. It says domestic growth, which is their own firms produce, but they export, but they also re-highlighted 4 cards, says nothing about domestic consumption, as Kevin tried to spin in cross-6. They want trade, CBS 11-12. Biden insisted is trying to undermine China's economy, yet along with Chinese counterpart on mutual desire is to create a beneficial economic relationship as recent Chinese economies under heavy short materials have been used by from China. Genius convinced investor China still profitable. Christian Wealth and optimist G has reversed himself before 2EC4 Yellen. The Yellen card is good. It talks about things that have come out of existing talks, and we have uniqueness cards that talk that examine the Yellen. We have independent sources that say Yellen is telling the truth. Now the uniqueness crisis in every alternative causes JS. China has some protections for domestic companies like every other great economy, but uniqueness still means they want to trade. 2EC6. The affirmative solves, there's no warrant given, I'm not going to do any more here. 2EC7, protectionism is not high now. Crossed by the anti-fragmentation from the 2NC data proves that trade is set to increase in 2024 by 14% now. It's about linked threshold. Some increased tariffs do not cause war. We need the much more heavy decoupling that only the plan can cause. Economic conflict is cooling. Rogers and policy to theme. Secretary Raimondo was promoting commercial ties China, U.S. economies to heavy against China's economic prosperity. U.S. China's largest trading partner, given China's current economic system, race, taking global relations, aggression, China, discussing China, media, wary retaliating its restrictions to the U.S. Some of the economic conflict fighting restrictions, using China, including decoupling countries. The U.S. does not want to see how the Chinese economy is starting to come to war. The recent message official improvement to maintaining cordial ties. Now, the militarism turn group 2EC 8, 10, and 11. It's wrong. 1. No accidental war king. 2. No clear evidence of wars on accident with technology, no nuclear nation evidence between accident between the modern safety system likelihood is even lower structure plan with clear intent after extensive prep uranium, nuclear missile strike political time radio member set against response to nuclear war and testing solely for tests. Now the first card that says economic growth causes war is wrong. Zittelman 2. Capitalism reduced benefits of conquering before economies largest static conquers and expand power to want to create an important military needs size nor automobile matter resources had more steadily through commerce. Now capitalism is integral to peace. Most 19. War has been a charm decline. The world's moving towards permanent peace. Leaders are advanced marketing, economies for interest, self-determination as foundation for marketplace wars, no politics for weak markets, pursue wars of expansion, market power, expansion, and declaration of bad value market norms. If left under our common permanent military security might exist at all. Now, the part about empowering the military is wrong. 1. Crossfly evidence above 2 decades of stability disproves that growth will cause war. 3. This outweighs trade means that instead of going to war to get resources, they trade with other countries, which is the most profitable, which means only the plan can cause countries to lash out for more. 4. They do not get rid of the military, which means they do not solve now. New plank. The United States federal government should ban U.S. military preemptive interventions. We get the plank since it's really an add-on, not an impact turn. It's about decline being good, not trade being bad. The preemptation cannot shield the links since it only bans preemptive war. Miscalculation or Chinese escalation is obviously still possible, but if they win, it shields net benefit. Judge King. 2EC9, no China war is wrong. Drop the scenario that the AF forces China to do something it hates and harming the economy, makes them pissed and starts war. Only trade stops it because of making war unpopular. Mutual commitment to growth solves it. Bailey 14. They're very good reason why it's just not about television power. China's market second most important trading power, including where commerce happens to 2 powers established. Links to measure relations and improve the level of quality for communication to lower the risk. Office understanding spelling out for control, make security relations, strategic economic dialogue, improve China gives China relationship across politics, political collaboration in a wide range of areas. Now this card specifically has 2 warrants. The first is MAD. You have to defer to specific internal links, but Peninsula has also read war scenarios to prove that MAD is just not enough to curtail every war. Second is diplomacy, which is wrong. So to many stresses, China please zero stop running. It's eliminating overseas social attention, risk of long risk of the escalation region, Washington to have a hotline for cross communication among US officials. I thought we were Chinese officials in the hotline. Beijing did not pick up. Interrupt.
cooperation is at. Counterplan. Degrowth. Transition. Then decay.
One more time.
Cooperation is at. Counterplan. Degrowth. Transition. Then decay.
Cool. Thanks.
Alright. Are we all good to go?
Give me 1 second. I need 1 second. Sorry. Okay.
U.S. economic strength is bad, causes frontal nuclear war with Russia and China, turns interdependence and cooperation. U.S. dominance decreases trade sanctions, withdrawal from WHO and arms control and Security Council vetoes proved as Ross and Howe outweighs. The one and all have no scenario for how the plan causes escalation, who attacks. They conceded China's not revisionist. The only scenario is American aggression. Only U.S.-Russia war causes extinction, Far Cry 17, nuclear war could send smoke into atmosphere and cause global cooling, ozone loss, agriculture, nuclear winter, drop temperatures 8. Extinction only possible between U.S. and Russia. Small war is unlikely to lead to extinction given the size of arsenals. The risk of extinction greater from conflict between U.S. and Russia. Our scenario outweighs because they've dropped that aggression also caused conflicts with other nations, not just China. They say no accidental nuclear war. Our scenario is about intentional U.S. conflict, so this does not apply. But there are also no internal checks in those nuclear laws. There's no internal limit to aggression. The U.S. destroyed North Korea and China bombing hundreds of kilograms per capita in Iraq, used depleted uranium in Libya, reduced richest countries in society in which states are openly sold movements are not strong enough to prevent use of nukes. They say no war chest. This code is only 2 lines long. Our evidence is more superior, and competition, not cooperation now, which causes extinction. Only decreasing U.S. growth cells, Russia 23 fearing of losing hedge the U.S. is seeking domination, resulting in dangerous humanity, Cold War, projection into Asia, preventing tech, AUKUS and NATO, the U.S. has an overwhelming advantage, tech, missile spend in foreign projection and nuclear war, total annihilation, pointing to the third world war peace will have to be sustainable development. They say capitalism is key. This is empirically denied because Russia invaded Ukraine despite having trade ties. Our scenario outweighs and caps their impact, only denying cost of national election 19. STS Crimea elections, these actions that have a common denominator designed for sort of status and people research suggests the U.S. efforts frustrate status for our backlash. U.S. should reinforce efforts to achieve status instead of containment and cooperation. Capitalist peace theory is kaput. McCallion 22. So long to have to speak Ukraine rising tensions in Asia and World War I confirmed companies to relative power trip the pursuit of reciprocal gain feelings with restart to interdependence. No barriers to the flow of goods and effects and causes of peace to realize rather even unveiling the Nord Stream pipeline must to invade Ukraine, which blew up the multi-billion project. The US and China are engaging in trade war. US allies are also more dependent on China than the United States. Now extend that all of this scenario is non-unique. Economic cooperation, then now 7 reasons. First, deepening mistrust. Second, China harassing vessels in SCS. Prefer because he's a top US diplomat, while the evidence are just economists. That's Berg. Third, Chinese barriers to access. 4, coercive actions against US companies. 5, US offshoring from China. That's Yellen. 6, Chinese manufacturing causing trade deficits, pissing off the United States as well as other actors. That's Bloomberg. 7, immigration research, CNBC. 1224, cooperation in the high number of students is down, research collaboration shrinking. This all proves that US and Germany continued growth is causing a lack of cooperation, not more of it, except that there's no link. The media evidence indicates that it forces China to follow on, and they support it to do so. They've miscut the chain evidence says that degrowth solves, and they'll spin it as beneficial. Insert in reality. Oh, yeah. The counterplan, first, they misspelled it, so it cannot solve. Second, one and all counterplans are bad. They uniquely make it impossible to give the 1 ER because of a lack of preparation. 2 and 3 counterplan solves. Third, it does not solve. Our scenario is about miscalculation and not necessarily U.S. starting the conflict, but Russia and China lashing out because of U.S. expansionism. The counterplan. No judgment can force it to 2 ERs. It definitively does not solve the hegemony stuff because none of their counterplan planks and growth. Degrowth concede our defense. We're not going for a transition. No other military crackdown, no evidence to substantiate it, and economies are intertwined, which means they follow along, and they've conceded they're not revisionist, so they won't do so. Exit taxes, soft capital fight, so it takes out the critique. Way to adverse violence of the decay, they get links to plan and epistemology, which solves all of their offense. Fairness outweighs an instant impact. First, it's only valid intrinsic impact. Second, they rely on fairness. They put out jobs to diligent life online and want you to evaluate their fact fairly. Third, it's an intrinsic good, and their impact is also fairness. They say out choice that definitively does not solve because their interpretation is unique. You lose, which uniquely makes being affirmative impossible. No balance opportunity for any of their offense. First, all causes, school, family, friends. It becomes that way. Second, people internalize losses as technical theories should have it down. Third, other round terms, the linguistic argument aren't solved because they can get links to epistemology, the abstraction. This had no link. The card is about about moral ignorance and not caring about people's lives or caring about morality, which the way obviously trains us to do. The subjectivity outweighs consequences determine our epistemology because it determines whether or not what we're advocating is good. They say that death threats are bad. It's good if you feel empathy. Our evidence is superior than theirs because only it talks about a competitive nature of debate and only it's specific to debate. It says that it breeds us to motivate action and care about other people. Reject their evidence first. Their cards are not scientific. They have no qualifications and their studies are not replicable. Second is that it's inevitable outside of debate. This was cross-examination. The Bourgeois card was answered above, and the card also presumes that we are pitting people against each other, which does not link to the affirmative. The tautology stuff was answered above. Extend permutation to both. Proof con means that we should be able to sever our representations. All of the arguments presume that debate is a game and presume that fairness matter, but proof con is a unique reason why they're unethical because although we've committed manslaughter, they have committed what did they commit? Premeditated murder.
orders the K, the counterplan, and then the dissent. Let me know when y'all get the cards.
Okay.
Judges. No. Okay. Kick the death cannot going for a profound reason to argument of the team, especially when they see the secrecy question that they read that impacts first, so it cannot be a voting issue. Only for one side, the counterplan can get condition on going for this side. This is messy, but you can clearly go and use China interdependence scenario or U.S. relations scenario that's independent before anything else, but use hegemony because they conceded once the addressor for 2 speeches in a row. It says that U.S.-China interdependence also for supply chain conflict also prevents other escalation places like SES, Taiwan, etc., which stops regional expansionism into other countries. Also says it puts a cap on conflict between because we have independent trade conflict scenario that is just not answered by Devin in the 1 ER. Now the line. They say no scenario for escalation is U.S.-China interdependence solving global war, and it's specifically U.S.-China war, which is the scenario from the get-go. Also says U.S.-China relations are necessary to move out regional expansionism, and SES Taiwan, which is the one to see the yelling card and the card right after. That says that those promote global nuclear war and global nuclear exchanges, which is directly quote of the Dressner evidence. Now, the scenario and the judging construction frame for all of this is that this is all new. The 2EC reads one card that U.S. aggression causes war, but does not say anything about revisionism. Does not say anything about only U.S.-Russia war causing extinction. Does not say anything about war chest and the lack of checks now. Does not say anything about lash out or no capitalist peace theory, which is fundamentally a new impact turn in the 1 ER, so you should be really has to go affirmative and do some work for me when smashing all these things off your flow too. Is that there's no solvency for any of this. We have not read a hegemony good disadvantage this whole debate. We've read U.S.-China economic relations good disadvantage, so they cannot solve these things about military assets or U.S. aggression, especially when it's a question of U.S. expansionism, which is just a question of our motive, which the act has nothing to do with, and they cannot do it. I'll also kick the 1 ER counterplan, which is new. It's a reason with the army, not the team. This also means they have no way of solvency. Now, they say only U.S.-Russia war causes extinction. The Farcar evidence says that nuclear war in general causes extinction. The part about Russia says that Russia has large arsenals. Farcar also says that war with small arsenals won't cause extinction, but China obviously does not have a small arsenal, so this is not a reason why U.S.-China war does not cause extinction. Also, Devin has no analysis on an impact framing for why only extinction matters, because also killing 7 billion people through nuclear war is obviously very terrible. They say the Ross evidence. It says that there's some interventions in other countries. Let's not say that those are nuclear or existential in any way, so this is not even responsive in terms of just destruction in the impact framing. This is also going to be answered by the war chest stuff in the capitalist interdependence theory stuff, which would be down below. They say war chest, no, there's no war chest. Considered one in our Zittleman evidence, so the 3 does not get new answers to specific cards in the 1 in R, when Devin just rather chooses to dump cards straight down instead of doing actual line to line. Now, this public backlash for people who do aggressive expansion, which is direct quote in the Zittleman evidence, also says that there's no incentive for continued war chest and continued aggression against other countries. If it was so, it's disproven in the past because none of those go nuclear because we've had these war chest military assets for such a long time. Now, they say the competition now, this is the Foster card, wrong. It sparks inevitable conflict. Only trade can serve as a conflict dampener or 2020. Goods across borders, cultures, road, trade, sports connections, and gives the incentive of war research numbers vassal claim. I've been done the test of country war series analysis showed a correlation between trade conflict cost and Rebuttal controls also for growth, even if boxing takeaway box protectionism can lead to conflict. China is revisionist, jungle lead 17, results in fiscal transfer goes. Provides support likely to conflict reasons away. Conflicts realists argue China will challenge US when possession equal and Asia can realize the right go. These stabilizes stability power made the country assertive. That's fine. I'll do that later. Now and we get this since they read a card on status analysis, we get a response when China is aggressive and only trade can stop war. They said the Larson evidence, only denying Glasgow, conceded the Masao evidence that says the interdependence between the 2 countries and between the whole world stops conflict now, which means it's independent of the U.S.-China scenario. So don't even need to win the disadvantage because I'm just winning a turn to growth itself, that growth about war. Because Masao evidence says the countries rely on each other now, also takes out the war chest and the U.S. aggression argument because it says that there's no incentive to do that because of public backlash. And then if anything, only weaker countries will do that because because they need more resources, and countries like the US have no incentive to go nuclear over these things because it's only bombing themselves. They said the Larson evidence, it's about SES Taiwan, only the Masao evidence describes history and empirical analysis that does this, also not specific to US-China relations, which is our scenario. Now, relations are not dead. Devin just lists the 7 warrants, which are 2 words each, non-actual arguments, to scratch them off your clothes. The immigration card from CNBC is not about economic relations, also not impact at all. It's like 10 words. Now, best conceded one in our Brenner evidence in the card above that says that the U.S.-China economic relations are high now because we've got a recent meeting at APEC that says that U.S. and China have committed to have growth-oriented economies together, and they've also made a commitment to each other. Second is the link differential is completely massive. The FSD growth, it completely nukes our trade, and it's complete sidestep of what we have promised Z, which means that even if uniqueness is gray, not black or white. So the question is the link, which is massive. They said the media evidence, no, consider the Chang evidence, and the one Yellen evidence, which concludes negative at the very end that says that U.S. and China are focused on economic growth together, and independently of this growth scenario, we can just vote on a trade dissent, which is independent from all of this in the first place. I'll consider the Pelosi evidence, which is that U.S.-China is locked in an economic embrace now, so only reducing that by getting rid of our consumer-oriented economy triggers the disadvantage.
528.
sent the revisions in car?
Oh, why not? We can block.
I sent it 6 minutes ago.
I have it.
It's not in a doc, it's just in the body.
Okay. Wait, did you read both of these cards?
Just the first.
Just did this out. Is everyone good? Okay.
Only growth-driven expansion causes U.S.-Russia war. That's the her evidence, which was conceded in broad. We have no defense in the Russia component of it. Our evidence says that it is U.S. growth and U.S. competition with Russia that is driving escalation out and will cause trade wars that actually go nuclear. Only U.S.-Russia war causes extinction. That's the Farquhar evidence. He says, quote, only U.S.-Russia war causes extinction, end quote. And he goes on to explain why only U.S. and Russia have arsenals large enough to do so. China's arsenal is not even close. They only have 400 nukes, while Russia and the United States have thousands, which means that a U.S.-China war cannot cause extinction. And does not cause a nuclear winter large enough to exterminate the human race. Extinction outweighs because it's irreversible, which means that even if there's a large chance of a limited nuclear war, you know that extinction qualitatively outweighs. So any risk of our offense means you go negative. This also straight turns the disadvantage proper because our whole thesis is that competition is high now and that U.S. aggression is high now. The framing issue is that they have zero game on Russia defensive realism or U.S. revisionism. They only have evidence about China. They've considered that U.S. is revisionist, which is a bigger turn to their scenario. U.S. economic trade cause sanctions on China, U.S. to pull out of the World Trade Organization and the World Health Organization, and the U.S. to have more vetoes on the Security Council than all other countries combined. They've also intervened in dozens of countries. That's the Ross evidence. The link outweighs the link. The link turn outweighs the link. Direct U.S. aggression is a much larger cause of cooperation breakdown because it directly threatens China, while declining economic ties have always been thumped. It zaps their offense. All turn our explanation in that cards support limited expansion in SES in Taiwan, which Larson assumes, but if the U.S. accommodates them in their near abroad and allows them to expand, there's no scenario for escalation because the U.S. won't get drawn in. No Chinese revisionism, century of humiliation explains the Zheng evidence. They want security in a near neighborhood. The Zheng evidence is also highlighted as shreds, and China has not invaded any other countries, which means all the data is fake, which is they say that all of this stuff is new. We had 3 cards on this that clearly established a turn about why it is U.S. growth that is driving competition with Russia now. They've also had the 2NC and 1NR cards and counterplans, so the 1NR cards were simply to respond to those 1NR arguments. They say that they saw U.S. economic relations and the motivation for expansion, but this was answered above. They say that the war chest stuff and the public backlash stuff is wrong, but we're not going for war chest. They say interdependence solves world conflict. The framing issue for all of the group, all the data set arguments, they're all wrong because they're all about the past. They're all about capitalism, but not a unique, discrete U.S., China, Russia competition scenario that their evidence does not assume, does not have uniqueness to assume, and is not specific to. Second is that our evidence is better. We cite recent studies that show that capitalist peace theory is false. Russia invaded Ukraine even though they have trade ties with Ukraine, and China is competing with Taiwan even though they have trade ties with South Korea and Japan, and competing with them even though they're the largest trading partners, which obviously disproves the idea that interdependence can solve war. Lastly, the dissad is non-unique. they said that it was a blip and they said they should strike off the arguments, but then they proceeded to drop every warrant in the 1 AR. The 1 AR warrants are fantastic. I'm extending the mistrust and the mistrust and the offshoring scenarios. It is Biden's official adoption and official statements to deny Chinese technologies, to endorse protectionism, and to ban Huawei, to ban AI. This is according to a Bloomberg card. There's also rising anti-Asian sentiment, which is driving mistrust. This rhetoric is calling for a quote China shock and quote, and they're being blamed for things like COVID and economic atrophy and economic competition. All of this is driving protectionism and increasing trade war. This proves that trade is not unique because China is implementing quote a buy Chinese and policy, and they have closed off the markets to foreign investment, all of which means that trade is going down now. Our evidence is superior to theirs. The Bloomberg evidence is from today and post-dates there by a month. Their evidence is speculative and is hopeful. It says that hopefully the United States can achieve growth without citing actual data and actual statistics and the reality. Our evidence also comes from Biden officials and leaders who have great leadership on this. They only answered the immigration warrant without answering everything else, which means that you know that these warrants are true and they massively mean that trade is unlikely to happen now.
You should answer the no-bait argument. Say that the Ross evidence is about growth causing.
They said that we cannot solve this turn or that there's no link to it, but the Ross evidence is specific about economic growth. It says that in times of economic growth, that's when the United States acts more aggressively towards other countries and has historically acted as proven by Vietnam and Iraq, Afghanistan. It was only after they suffered defeats in the economic realm that they turned inwards, proven by detente with Russia and opening up with China. That is all the Ross evidence. Is there anything else? Only US-Russia war causes extinction. They do not have a card that disputes this. This means that even the tiniest risk of our external impact outweighs. It also straight turns the disadvantage because it's all reason why competition is high now, and there's only a chance we can reduce competition to sustainable levels.